How do you respond to the haters on social media? Okay, so maybe you've already started to see this happening on your social media or when you're making a comment on somebody else's posts and suddenly you get flamed. You do see a lot of likes, but you do understand that a lot of comments that people make, you're going to get way more negative comments than you're going to get positive comments the more you get noticed. And I can see this happening even when I'm just sharing something. So first of all, if you're going to comment on social media, you have to recognize one thing. There is a lot of negative people out there who are going to misunderstand you, who are going to get triggered, who are going to get upset, and who are having a bad day and just want to tear somebody down, especially somebody who is as shiny and beautiful as you are. If you are a friend of mine, then you already know. If I keep you in my circle, I'm keeping you in there for a reason. If you're in my inner circle, I'm keeping you there for a reason. So if you're coming to me and saying, you know, I put this thing out there, I put this video out there, and I thought it was so inspiring, and then somebody said something negative and nasty about it, I'm going to tell you one little secret here. Oh, I get those all the time. In fact, they're my favorite thing. I love haters. I love it because it gives me an opportunity to shine even more light. And also the Scorpio in me, the little dark part of me is like, oh yes, continue to tell on yourself. Continue to show others who you really are. Continue to let that mask slip. Because I don't have to point out anything. You're doing it yourself. I mean, this is also the secret to dealing with toxic people in your life too. You just let them keep showing their true colors and you just shrug it off. So with haters, you have two options. And depending on what the hateful comment is, and depending on what your intention is with your message and what you're really trying to convey and why, what your why is, you can do two things. One, ignore them. They're just haters. They look like idiots. You can let other people tear them apart in the comments, and they will. Or option two, be very intentional and maybe even a little bit sassy with your message, but do it in a way that elevates you and continues to show them as not being someone worth being. Like, it's like, you know what? You're just making yourself look even more ridiculous while still getting the message across. So how do you know which one to choose? Again, what was your intention with your original message? I'll give you an example, sorry, tongue-tied, of how this actually happened. So I have recently been just commenting on stuff, just posts. And I'm doing it because my intention for the rest of my life is just to spread light wherever I go. I have had a lot of lessons in my life. I have had a lot of things that have happened where I felt all alone in the world. I felt not supported. And you would get those well-meaning comments that would make you feel horrible because you kept doubting your experience. Like, that was what happened to me. And I'm sure it's happened to you too, where maybe you're going through something really, really toxic and really, really not safe. Like maybe you have a parent who is treating you badly because they actually don't love you and they are manipulating you and they are abusing you. But somebody goes and says something like, well, you know, you really should just forgive them because they're the only parent you have and you'd be really feeling bad if they suddenly died. And then they're trying to pile guilt and shame on you. But they don't understand that it's actually more toxic for you to stay in that environment than it is for you to graciously be like, I do forgive them, but I'm going to also wait until they come in and treat me better. Or maybe it's a partner who does that. And it's like, you know what? Partnership is work. You just have to keep making it work. Well, guess what? I spent 13 years thinking that if I was just nicer, if I would just fix myself, if I would just turn into a Stepford wife, that somehow this relationship would work. If I overlooked all of the drinking, all of the smoking, all of the partying, all of the things that I'm like, this really isn't a good thing for our kids to be witnessing. Or it's like, this isn't the kind of life that I want to live, but I think I'll just settle because, it's better than being alone, right? When you have those messages, but you don't quite understand what they truly mean, you can fall into a lot of toxic patterns. It's the same thing with when I'm teaching birth and people are like, well, a healthy baby is all that matters. Well, when you say that, and then somebody has a traumatic birth experience and they didn't need to have it that way, no, it's not okay. It's not okay. It just invalidates everything. So I see these things out there. Maybe it's something I agree with and I'm like, oh yes, this, and then I add to it. Or maybe it's something that I'm like, I get what you're trying to do here, but this needs to be clearer for people who are thinking, well, yeah, toxic mindset. And in this piece that I saw, I get what they were really trying to do. But the video didn't convey the right message. It was 2 little separate puzzle pieces, different colors. These 2 little separate puzzle pieces, they have this like little love heart that shows up. So like they've got that attraction factor, okay? It's attraction. But neither one of those pieces actually fit. And neither one of those pieces are carrying any extra pieces that don't belong to them. It's just the whole piece, okay? So there's no extra little bits that you would be like clearing away to be like, oh, we actually fit after all. No, these puzzle pieces are 2 completely different puzzle pieces. But, the attraction is there. And instead of walking away and finding the puzzle pieces that actually fit each other, instead, what happens is like, well, we have to be together. We have to keep making it work. So here's a hacksaw and I'll let you cut away at me. And oh, I still don't fit with you. Okay, well here, I'm going to take a chisel and I'm going to like chip away at you and then we'll fit. Okay. So no, you don't do that. You don't chip away at somebody else. I'm like, no, like if somebody says, hey, you're not fitting the way I need. This is why the Little Mermaid story is so tragic, because the Little Mermaid is actually told, well, we have to cut out your tongue and you're going to have to like walk on land. But she's like, no, this is my prince, so I'm going to do that. But he didn't value her, but she still loved him. But she let him go because they said, hey, if you don't kill the prince, you're going to turn to ash. You're going to turn into sea foam. You're not going to be able to live past the day because you're now human. You're not a mermaid, but you don't have an immortal soul. So if you can't be with the prince, then you just have to like die. And so she has a choice to make of killing the prince because he can't be with her. He's chosen somebody else, or throwing herself into the sea. But when she throws herself into the sea, instead of killing the prince, and she wishes him well, and she kisses his brow, and she kisses the brow of the wife, and she's like, if that's where he wants to go, I love him. I know I could have loved him better, but because I was willing to walk on the land for him and feel the pins and needles in my feet every day for him, and I would have endured that because I love him, but he's not choosing me, and I have to let him go. She was able to let her soul be free. And there's beauty in that message, because it's like when you see that somebody is so toxic for you, even though you care about them, even though you might have given everything at first to be with them, eventually when they choose somebody else, or, they show the true colors that they really aren't that great, well, then you set yourself free. That's just what you do. You just set yourself free. And the prince actually was looking for her after she disappeared, which is kind of sad because she ended up floating away. But with true love, as my mentor Annie Lala teaches, you find the person who is the most extraordinary person in the world to you. And then what happens organically is that when those two match and you love them, then all of those things that are attached to them, the barnacles, all the stuff in the marble, Annie says this metaphor as well, about the marble of the statue of David, seeing David in the marble and then carving everything away that's not David. Well, that is different than what this message conveyed. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, no, you don't chip away at someone. You don't chip away at yourself either. And I've got probably about 1,400 likes so far on this. So lots of likes. But the comments, there are women that are like, yes, this is amazing. And then there are men who are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Basing that from a one-word sentence, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just because I choose not to elaborate on that, because this isn't my post to elaborate on. It's like I could, but I don't need to waste my energy because there's enough people that get what I'm saying. So then there's the ones that say, well, I bet you're single. Well, yeah, because I won't chip away at myself to be in a relationship, and I won't allow people to play small with me. And I've got a specific idea of who I want. And it's like, if I'm not able to have that, then I'm going to build my empire alone. Because once you realize your worth, you don't settle for somebody less. You don't settle for somebody who can't meet you where you're going. There's 3 different kinds of love. And Kate Rose actually has this in a book called You Only Fall in Love 3 Times. And I love this. It's like there's the soulmate love, the one that's comfortable. But, you know that they can't actually meet you where you're going. They know that they can't actually meet you where you're going. And so they're lovingly going to let you go and fly because they're like, you know what? I can't meet you where you're at. And you know I can't meet you where you're at. And instead of us trying to chip away at each other or let go or chip away at ourselves, because I have to chip away at myself in order to be in this relationship with you. I have to give up my dreams and my core values in order to be in this with you. It's like, no, that's not going to work. We can't give up our dreams. So it's like, and I don't want you to give up your dreams. I can't see you as the most magnificent, incredible, extraordinary person. Like, I can't see all of your dreams, and I can't rise to meet you, and your dream is different from my dream, and we're just not a match. So for us to stay together would be that I'd have to give up my dream and you'd have to give up yours, and neither one of us wants that for the other because we actually care about each other. We're actually friends. We care about each other. Like, you don't want that for somebody. It's like, if I can't love you better than anyone else in the world, then what am I doing holding you back from the person that's out there for you who is meant to be with you? And then there's the one who is like, oh, you are a high value person. Oh, I want you. Ooh, I covet you. Ooh, you are so beautiful. Ooh, you are so talented. Ooh, you are so successful. But you have some sort of wounding where you don't actually see just how wonderful you are and how can I use this? So then you allow them, because they see how powerful you are, but it's also intimidating to them. This is the karmic love. This is the second time, the second type. I I've known this one like the back of my hand, okay? I cut away at parts of myself to try to fit, because I didn't see my worth. So when I say you don't chip away at yourself, I know this firsthand, okay? I've seen what I did to myself, and it just hurts my heart. Realizing it's like, oh, you poor child, you really thought it was him? You really thought that he was the one to fix you, that you weren't valuable, that the reason your other relationships didn't work out was just because the guys that you were seeing that were way better than him, it was just because they saw you, like you were so much better than they were, and they knew you were destined for greatness and they were not going to hold you back? Really? And so instead of realizing your magnificence, you then let these other guys tell you that you weren't worth anything and you should just be lucky to have them pay attention to you. And then they go and feed you all these lines about how beautiful you are and how sexy you are and how much they're lucky to have you. But then when you are your full self, they suddenly say you're not good enough, and they kind of kick you off that pedestal as high as they put you on it. Whereas you are giving them everything and you are seeing every single one of their flaws, but you are looking past them because you're like, you know what? This person at least loves me. And even though they love me and they're hurting me, but you know, I can't get much better. And you stay and you stay and you stay. We always wonder why did she stay? Why did she stay? This is why. She didn't see her magnificence. It's like the miller's daughter. She didn't know, like if she could have actually spun straw into gold. We all have that capability inside of us. That's why I really like Once Upon a Time, because they actually redid this story where Cora, I mean, she was evil, but she turned evil because she actually took her own heart out, and that's why she couldn't love Regina. But she had been like, in order for me to rise up in the world, not be with Rumpelstiltskin, because I love Rumpelstiltskin, and he's shown me how to spin my own straw into gold, because she's like, I'm not going to give you anything. You're going to teach me how to spin that straw into gold, and I'm going to find my own power. And he's like, okay. He was impressed. They actually did love each other, and he showed her how to spin their straw into gold, and she did. But because she also wanted that security and she wanted that crown, she actually cut her own heart out. She took her own heart out, put it in the box so that she could feel comfortable in that other relationship. And she broke Rumpelstiltskin's heart. It was awful, awful what she did. But it's like, when you see that, it's like, I can spin straw into gold. You've shown me I can spin straw into gold. And I'm grateful for that, but I'm going to move on. Now, the thing is that there are people that will use others and say, teach me how to be more magnificent like you. But they don't love them. They're using them. And this is what happened, is that I was giving everything to this false king who had said, you are so magnificent, you are so beautiful, but really he was kind of stealing the light. And that is you're not good enough, I'm going to chip away at you. So these haters are sitting there and they're saying things like, I bet you're single. I bet you're a 30-something or almost 40-year-old woman and you're single. And you can't get a man. Now, the women who don't know their worth yet are also watching this. So, I have now decided, it's like, I'm not going to respond to every single one of these haters. No. But I am going to do it intentionally because I need to put one message out there for the women who are seeing me getting attacked and being like, oh, this woman is even more cool than I already thought, because look at how she is handling these haters. She's just looking as like, yeah, I'm single by choice. And I could get any man that I really wanted. If I wanted to, I could go and settle for less. I have my eye on a prize. I have my eye on a king. The most incredible king who is the only one that will fit my puzzle piece, who will be the one that is the key that fits my lock, the trampoline for my dreams, and the sanctuary for my own heart. And I am not going to go settle for somebody who is not that. And I am not going to ever chip away at myself again to beg somebody to love me. Because ladies and gentlemen who are incredible, and you need to realize just how incredible you are. If somebody truly loves you and supports you, even if they are not the one, they are still a really good friend that you want to keep in your corner. Get rid of the idea of the friend zone. The friend zone is not a bad place to be. It is not death. If you've got somebody of the opposite sex, or same sex if you have a different orientation, who is standing for you and saying how amazing you are, and they are giving you that love and attention and just cheering for you as a friend, and maybe they're not the one, but when the one comes in and sees that you have got all of these admirers, but you are still choosing to be single, and it's not like, oh, that you got a whole bunch of like people hanging around you, what's wrong with you? It's like your friend says, honestly, if they would pick me, I would snap them up in a second. But I know I'm not them. I'm not the one for them. And I respect that. And I respect I have my own soulmate that is coming in, my own true love. And if, like, yeah, they are amazing. They really are that amazing. But the reason we're not dating is because it's just, it's just not going to work. But I do love them, and I do support them, and I do hope they find the one that they're looking for. That's the kind of friend that you need. Not the one that's sitting there hoping and waiting and saying, I'm just going to be nice to you until you pick me. Because if you never pick me, though, I'm going to be like, oh, well, screw you. You're a B word and stuck up, and there must be something wrong with you. The ones that understand this and recognize, it's like, you know what? They're the ones you want to keep in your corner for life. Because they will also talk to your partner when your partner is being an idiot. They'll be like, yeah, are you kidding me? Like, you said that? Really? You do realize that you are like the luckiest person on the earth to even land this person. Like, get out of your own way and go and fix this. Or like maybe their friends also see it. It's like, oh my gosh, like if I could have this person, are you kidding? But it's true. That's the difference. It's true. Now I had people that are like, oh, your partner is so amazing. Oh, he's so incredible. And I knew the truth. I'm like, behind closed doors, he is just, what he says to me, if you had just heard how broken he has made me just before he came here. And yeah, I look crazy because I'm upset. And they're like, I don't know why she's so upset. And it's like, yeah, you didn't see everything. That's the gaslighting that happens. So again, it's like the haters. Well, I mean, sure. But if you want to say that, and it's kind of going to hurt somebody, because it's going to perpetuate a toxic paradigm that needs to die. Guess what? I'm the sign of healing, birth, and transformation. And I don't put up with that, but I'm also the sign of death. Okay? I'm the sign of death. Scorpio is not just birth, healing, and transformation. Scorpio is also the sign of death. So we know when something needs to be burned away. We know when we need to use that stinger. The phoenix will burn itself up when it realizes that it needs to be reborn. The scorpion will sting and have the most potent venom and kill if it needs to. But otherwise, leave us alone. Recognize that we are intricate, beautiful creatures who are powerful and transformative. Just like the eagle is another form of Scorpio. The eagle mother will soar and she will be so majestic and she will love her babies. But if you go near her chicks, oh, she's going to peck your eyes out. The mother wolf, another sign of Scorpio, will absolutely be beautiful and majestic and have that pack mentality. You attack the pack, you're dead. Because the pack will rise up with the leader of the pack and devour you. So, little bit of information and support for you if you are going out there shining your light. Yes, the darkness is going to come in. Yes, the haters are going to come in. And yes, they are going to throw their little hate and crap all over the place. And even if you're on somebody else's thing to support or to distract from that message because it's like this message is harmful and they all pile on you, remember what you're really there for. Are you there to win the argument, or are you there to create the impact that you're really trying to make? Are you there to validate your own feelings of being, I'm so awesome, or are you doing it so that other people can see the path they need to get on and get away from other toxicity? Are you there to defend yourself because, oh no, they said this horrible thing. They said I'm single. Oh no, I have to suddenly look like I'm so desired. Or are you looking, it's like, other people are going to see that. Other people are going to think that they're a problem and they're going to feel crushed by this. And I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm going to show that this doesn't faze me, because it doesn't. And I'm going to show, it's like, you know what? Doesn't matter what they say. Doesn't matter. If you feel that this message is true to your heart and soul, ignore those haters. Honey, you're on the right path. All right. So thank you for listening to my little soapbox on my phone. Reason it's not on Zoom right now is actually because I'm uploading something and it's taking longer because it's quite a long training, but it's all on getting past fear. And I think at some point I'm going to have to repurpose it, because as I was watching it after editing it, because I like to make sure it's all streamlined, it's like I've got everything that I need. I sit there and I watch it and I look at the slides and like, I could repurpose that. So that's another thing. When you're sharing wisdom, you don't always have to share it from what you do or your niche. Start seeing the deeper part of it and put what you're selling on the shelf, and you're going to attract a more wider range of people and a greater audience who are still going to resonate with what you do. All right. I mean, I could literally put this fear training on my page, but it's almost 2 hours long. And the reason I've got it like that is because I'm looking for particular people in my group who are going to be the kinds of people that I want to bring in to a higher level at some point. I've got intention with literally everything that I do. So if you think I'm just sharing just because, no. And I'm going to invite you to start being more intentional with what you're doing as well. And always recognize, like, who out here would resonate with the message, or who needs to hear this. And there's going to be somebody. And if you're putting out light everywhere, that light will go where it needs to go. You don't have to worry about where it's going to go, and you don't need to chase after the people that you think need it most. The ones who are ready will respond. The ones who aren't, but will resonate later, might hear that message a few times. It might take a little bit longer for it to sink in. And the ones that just want to stay in the dark and just want to hate on you and just want to be jerks, well, you don't want them in your community anyway. Come on. Do you really want them? It's like these men that are like, oh, I'm going to go and harp on this woman for speaking her mind. It's like, okay, buddy, have fun. with the women that are only attracted to you while you have money and any level of status and prestige, because your personality, until you work through whatever pain and stuff you're going through, I mean, let's look at it for a minute. Everybody else is like, I don't understand why Belle doesn't go for Gaston. He's so gorgeous. 'Cause he's a jerk. That's why. It's not right for a woman to read. She gets ideas and thinking. Oh, Belle, if you don't marry me, you're gonna be dying alone. You're gonna be begging on the street like Agatha. Like, come on. Really? No. Belle didn't marry Gaston. In both versions of that movie, she ends up marrying the prince, doesn't she? And she marries him even though when he's a beast, because he reads. He has a library. And he sits there and he looks at her and he's like, read it again. And he's fascinated that she has got this brilliant mind, that nobody in the village appreciated it. So there's so much more than this provincial life. And you are meant for adventure in the great wide somewhere. And if you want it more than you can stand, there is somebody out there who understands too. Maybe they're your true love, or maybe they are a friend that can build you up and show you your magnificence that becomes a friend for life. But either way, you're not going to be alone. You're going to live a nice, fulfilling life, and you don't need to have anybody validate that. Because when you are feeling like, I know what I'm talking about, and I believe in this, and I believe in the light that this is going to bring out into the world. I believe in what this is going to do to enhance somebody else's life, as Belle even tried to do in her village. Well, you know what? You're just gonna soar. People will notice you. I mean, I'm kind of living proof right now. Just look at my journey. Look at the journeys of so many people that I'm in connection with. These beautiful people that I've gotten to call friends. I'm so honored to have them as my friends. But the most beautiful part is that they're also honored to have me. And I know I'm loved. And it's not because of what I can do for them. It's because of who I am. Which ties into what I talked about yesterday about finding your swans. All right. Love you. Go shine light and ignore the haters.